my name is Avery Walker. I'm a full-time instructor at Las Vegas Academy of the Arts. I'm also the artistic director of the West Las Vegas Arts Center Performance Ensemble, which is a pre-professional youth company. And I'm a swing male dancer at Vegas The Show.
All right, so we are going to begin our questions today with describe your teaching style and methods. That's a big one.
Well, I can say that I teach from a traditional standpoint because I was trained by a lot of second and third generation artists, who at whatever techniques they were teaching, they had learned it from, a pioneer or one of the pioneer students. So it was the information was pretty pure, or what I would consider pure. And so at the root of my teaching, it is as pure as of an understanding, that I have. But of course, I like to keep up with the times and always introduce new ways of learning or establishing one's, abilities. We see in the 21st century, people are able to discover things so many different ways. Even now we're learning online. Who would have thought that we're able to take dance class on Instagram? You know what I mean? So in teaching, when we were able to have live classes, that was something I was always exploring. How can I get these students to learn what it is that I want them to know? And that's beyond the physical. It's like, showing them footage. I think it's so important to incorporate history because without that, they just, there is no direct understanding of the why. Why am I doing this? Well, it's because, this is what was done prior. And so now this is what we have to do in order to, take things to the next level.
So let's just clarify for the students your background. You teach Horton technique. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
And so you're talking about, that's the historical and the pure dance that you're talking about. And then from the Horton technique, you will go off on some tangents into some more.
Well, contemporary. I mean, that's the word we're all comfortable with that term in the dance studio. And so, yes, do I teach, by the book based on what, is established under the Horton technique? No, because I haven't received that specific certification. You go to the Ailey School, you get your Horton certification, all that. No, the information is pure. Yes. Is it within the same structure of the Ailey School? No. But the information can transfer. A flat back is a flat back, a roll down is a roll down, lateral is lateral. So like I said, the information is pure. Yes.
Sure. And you got that information directly from a dancer who got that information directly from being in the company, who got that from the source.
Correct. So that lineage.
Yeah, that line of succession or whatever, or transference or teaching, pedagogical teaching, is really only 3 or 4 shifts away from the source.
Right.
So it's really wonderful to see that important teaching line, and you have that, and it's something you can be really proud of. Yeah, really wonderful. And I love that you also are aware of the contemporary aspects of dance that are coming in, and that you want to kind of see how you can implement that into your teaching as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm sure that the great dancers of that period of time, as they were creating their movement, which was current trends at that time, would applaud what we are doing today, as well as we take the important structure of the past and we build upon that.
Absolutely.
Because they put so much time and so much research into that movement methodology, that movement technique.
Yes.
Each of those pioneers, those that created techniques,
Hmm.
they dedicated their whole lives to creating
Right.
that technique.
Right. Right.
I'm trying to think if there's any real new people doing that, and there are a few. But
Hmm.
even when I look at Gaga, um, and that energy and that shifting through, and that being so internal and aware, that awareness. If you have to look back at Alan Nikolai and see graining and see the connection there. But I'm so glad that he's
Right.
bringing it back and he's making it popular again, but under another sense of another term. And I'm sure he's bringing his spin on it. So it
Hmm.
makes it
Hmm.
new again, so
And that's that. It's like from before. That's the word or the title that comes to my head. Just from before. So many things are being introduced to people of this generation, but they're not realizing the connection that it has to something that is what we would call a tradition. you know, it's just a new perspective
cool. On an old tradition or on
on an old tradition. Right. Right.
so tell me about your different methods or techniques that you use for voice, or do you use a lot of repetition, and how do you validate the importance of repetition in your teaching, or
Mhm.
how do you validate discipline in the classroom, or uniform? Do you have a uniform?
Mhm.
Do you believe in that? Is it necessary? I mean, little structural things in either the way you present material. Do you spend a lot of time, or do you only once give them the structure and then expect them to have paid attention? What are those little bits like that in your teaching?
Well, I try to marry classroom and performance almost immediately because we're at the academy, Las Vegas Academy. The students are required to perform, and so we're already faced with an opportunity to engage them toward a goal. We say you are training because this is what we have coming. It's not so much enforced about them becoming professional dancers and so on. That's a later conversation, for those students who want to explore a career. But from the get-go, my classes are geared toward strengthening and conditioning students to be able to produce and that's either produce in another class or produce on stage, or that they are fully equipped. And so we do have a lot of repetition. I have a structure of the way that I warm up, and it all starts with the beginning, which is rolling down, and getting that spine warm. And then we go to plies and tendus and so on and so forth. So all of my foundation, well, at least between modern and jazz styles, have the same foundation. Of course, ballet, we all have, kind of a similar script that we use for ballet, at least when it's, taught in a classical form. But the repetition in my class is to really build that strength, for one, because I believe that in order to achieve something, you have to do it every day. You have to do it the same way every day. You know what I mean? And until you master that particular exercise or combination, and then you're able to go on to a more challenging combination. It's like it never ends. But certainly repetition is at the foundation of what I teach and why I teach, you know, in order to really, really build up the equipment. And this is the equipment,
Right, your instrument. So
Yeah.
do you require a uniform? Do you think that's important, or do you feel
Oh, absolutely.
you do?
Leotard and tights for ladies, and fitted attire for gentlemen. You have to see the body in order to shape the body. you
Mhm.
know when an artist gets to a certain level, of course you find freedom in, I'll wear my baggy shirt today, because you've really gotten past the point of working on your technique per se. As a professional, you're developing your artistry, but as a student, certainly that uniform is important, and it also eliminates the distractions. If we're all the same, or we come in our uniform, then everyone's focus and goal can be the same. But if I'm so worried about, oh geez, my big hoop earring fell out, or you know, my leg got stuck, because my pants don't stretch, like a pair of tights would. You start creating all of these distractions and excuses. And so, yes, absolutely, a uniform is paramount, I think. And I was always okay with the uniform. I felt like that was my armor. I put my uniform on, I put on my tights, or my biker shorts, or what, then I'm ready.
Right. It's kind of helps to prepare the mind.
Yes.
Yeah. What about voice? Do you use your voice in different ways to produce like their attention or discipline, or how do
Mhm.
you use your voice in class?
Well, just from my time as a student at the university, that I'm a percussionist, and so a lot of times, especially in the modern and the jazz classes, my voice will begin to create percussion or percussive sounds in order for me to really give examples of the type of dynamic I would like in the movement.